Hello, everybody. I've been getting a lot of requests on how to add water puddles to the roads after making my latest road video. And well, let's go ahead and dive into that. So I've been kind of playing with it for a little while, trying to figure out how Giants did it. And it took me a few days to kind of figure it out. It ended up being something real simple to get it to work. But yeah, so first thing we want to do, of course, is go into like Riverbend or one of the Giants maps and see how they did the water puddles. Okay, so we've got a road here. Click the road. We got that, and then we've got our decal infrastructure here, and you can see the markings for it around here. Now this little, I guess, diamond shaped one. This is the leaves, and I'll probably go over that in another video, but it should be pretty similar to how we're going to do the puddles. Now these rectangular shaped ones that are on the sides and down the center, these larger ones, this is our water puddles. And to see that in GE, we will go to scripts, shared scripts, map, seasons, and then seasons visual control. And we've got a ton of options here. So we can set our wetness, our snow, and so on and so forth. So if we want to see what the road looks like with snow, we would hit that 5. You look around a little bit. Well, on my computer, you got to look around a little bit to get it to load. But I do have my settings pretty low because my computer is not exactly the most powerful, but that's okay. So we'll set our snow back to 0. Disappear. Oh boy, it doesn't want to go away. uh, Gotta love it. I might have to fly to a different area of the map. Sometimes it's pretty quick. Sometimes it takes it a second. I think it's starting to render it away. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Okay, so now back to what we were here for, the puddles. So if we hit our wetness, we have 0, we go negative, add. You can kind of bump it up to see how it kind of slowly fades in, so to speak, for each level. So I guess depending on the amount of rain or how long it's been raining is how much of the puddles it shows in GE. Now, you see the rain animation there? Now, if you look at it in the distance, it looks kind of funky. Um, that's basically just a repeatable animation to create those ripples. But you can stop that by hitting this little stop button up here, or you can hit play to make it show those ripples again. Okay, so we got 0 for none, 1 for yes. Okay, so if we go back and look at the road that we've already done, I've actually already kind of got this going. We'll have to load that script up again. And yeah, so you can see I've got the puddles working there, and then it dissipates as well. It's perfect, right? I'm going to leave that open. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete that because we're going to create a new one and show you guys how to do it. Okay, so how do they do it? Let's go back to the uh, Riverbend map and see how they did it. Out of the way. And sip of coffee. Make sure you have plenty of coffee. That is very important for this whole process. Oh, yeah. Okay, that was important. Okay, so since this is in a referenced um, transform group, we're going to want to unlink it for now so that way we can access the puddle itself from here. Now, we could open that up in a separate window and yada 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 if we really wanted to, but um, okay, now let's see if it'll let me. So it's not going to let me click it directly, so let's see if we can find it. Sometimes it'll let you click on it here, but not very often. It looks like it's starting to come. Oh, there it was. Okay. All right, so we've got our material editing. Okay, so let's see what we have over here in our transform. Everything is pretty basic here. Oh, clip distance is 150, so that's what we're gonna want to do for ours. Uh, receive shadow map, distance blending, rendered in viewports, and tangents. This one does not use terrain decal. The leaves do, but the puddles do not. So I guess it's something to do with the way the shader works. So do not do terrain decal. So pretty much when you're doing this on your own, it wouldn't hurt to do like I'm doing here and have Riverbend or one of the other Giants maps open at the same time while you're okay. So everything else there looks pretty cut and dry, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and move down to our material. This is the important part. This is what gives it the water effect, I guess. Um, we've got road wetness underscore material. Uh, we've got an albedo map. You hover over it and see where that is. We just got a default normal. Our smoothness. I don't think this matters too much, but I go ahead and match that. Now in Blender, I'll say this in a little later on, but it's smoothness is the reverse of roughness, which is a little confusing, but that Blender does a lot of things a little different than Giants does, obviously. Um, so you just kind of reverse it. So 1 minus whatever this is what your roughness would be, which came out to like 2 something. Oh, actually, go ahead and calculate that because I'm not that smart. Okay, so 1 minus 0.749, that is 0.251. Okay, so that's we'll save that over here. That's what we'll want to use for our roughness value. Sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background. Let me go ahead and put them up so that they don't bug us all the time. Okay, good to go now. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this upper part. Now for the shader area, we're using the puddle shader, okay? And we're using the variation with the alpha map, so the longest one, basically the bottom. And then our watercolor, our water opacity, and our ripple UV chords. Now, when I did this initially, I accidentally left one of these at 1 in my puddle. My water ripples, I guess is what you'd call these little circles, were not circles. They look funky, so something to keep in mind. If you want them to look round, make sure these numbers are the same. Basically, you can change the size. See how I got wider there? You can make your puddles bigger, or your water droplet areas. They're going smaller. So you can set the scale of them, make them look a little different, however you want to do it. Just make sure you don't save 4545. Okay, and then we've got a height mask for the wetness and a alpha map for the wetness. And so make sure that all these are set in Blender and or when you put the road into G. Okay. And then there's one more thing where we that you can't really set anywhere in here, which is interesting. At least I haven't noticed anywhere set it. And this is something that's similar for the water. Is you've got to go into uh, if you go into okay, so the best way I found to get it is to export this puddle. So you do the file export selection, and then gotta give it numbers. Okay, now, ooh, okay, so this is the file I just exported here. If we right click it and then open with, and then you want to open it with the text editor. I use VS Code. You can use Notepad++, whatever works best for you. That up. And then within the material here, you'll see a refraction map. Now this you have to do manually in your through the text editor like this. Okay. Now when you do this, make sure you don't have it open in GE because if you have it open and you make this change and then you save GE, and you erase it. So close if you have this file or your water puddle open in GE, close it, add this line to your material, your road wetness material, and then start it back up. I'm gonna show you guys how to do all that here in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna set that to the side because we're gonna have to come back to that. Okay, now what do we do with Blender? Let's go ahead and open up Blender and see what we can do here. Now I still have my road from the other video, and it's kind of got a random shape, right? And we want to kind of create puddles in a way that looks kind of natural, or as natural as can be, uh, and somewhat random, right? So what I've done is I'm doing the same way I do the roads, but I added a little bit of spacing between. Okay? Um, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and hide the one I've got here, and we'll create a new one. Okay. That way you can see the whole process. Uh, thank you. The material is the same, so I'm not really going to go full detail on that. So, it hopefully make this full screen. You guys want to just pause the video and view this? There we go. This is how you want your settings. Your road witness views is in the same location as it was in GE. If you're not sure what that is, if you just open up your GE here. For your road, you've got it right here. So it's in your data maps. This one's in the Asian map AS, back. And then textures, building, infrastructure, road wetness. Okay. Default normal is in the texture, maps, textures, shared, default normal. And then you've got your road wetness, which is in the infrastructure within the Asian map, and same with this one. Okay. So if you're not sure where they are, all you got to do is come into GE and hover over these, just like I did here. Okay. Back to Blender. Okay, so you got it. Once you have it all set up here, you got your road wetness diffuse. Then you got your default normal, goes into the normal map and set to normal. All that stuff is in the add menu here. Kind of look for it. I think add was in vector. Yeah, normal map. And then the rest is input. So you should just dragging and dropping it in. Oh, put in it. No. Texture. Okay, maybe not. Oh, image texture right there. So you could do it that way, or you do it the easy way and then just just drag the texture image into Blender. That'd be the easiest way to do it. Okay. So once you've got your material set up here, then we go ahead and go to our material here. We got road wetness underscore material, and then our roughness is set to 0.251. That is the opposite of the smoothness that I was talking about earlier. And then our shader, we don't need a slot name in this one. Shader is the puddle shader, which is in the shaders folder. And if you're not sure where that's located at, you can go into GE here for Riverbend and hover over it, and it shows you exactly where that is. Okay. And then just match all of your settings here. So your watercolor, 1.1.1.150, water opacity 0.3, and then ripple UV 4.5, 4.5, and then our height mask, so wetness height, and then our alpha map for the wetness as well. And then once we've got all that set up, we can go ahead and start creating our planes. Okay, so let's see. We've got our main road here. Let's go ahead and see what it is in scale, so that way we can kind of place the puddles where we want them, right? So we go to our modifier here, and we'll just hit the X where it ties it to the spline, so that way it's no longer tied to the spline. Not too worried about the length right now, because I'm really just trying to get an idea of where things line up. Okay. All right. So go ahead and add mesh plane, and then we will want to. You can either scale it or change the size. I'm going to scale it, and then let's make it long. So what is that? X. We'll just give it a random size. Okay. Uh, we kind of want this one to be a little bit taller. So scale. Is it X? Nope. Y. There we go. Right about there. I think that's about right. I want it to take up most of the lane here. So let's go ahead and make it a little bigger. Yeah, something like that. So that would be good for our little side areas, right? Actually, it'd probably be good for our center. I think the center might be a little. Okay, so let's go ahead and duplicate that. Drop it here. Duplicate this one. We'll just drop it here. Duplicate another one. And do it right here. Now you can kind of do them random, and if you really wanted to, you could keep going with it. Really, whatever you think looks best. Um, I don't know. It's really up to you on how far you want to go into detail on this one. X, yeah. Make this one a little smaller, so it'll be like a little puddle area there. Okay, so that'll kind of create a little puddle junction area. Now these 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 lane ones we want to be on the lower end of the UV, and then the center ones we want to be in the upper part of the UV. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what that. Go to our UV editor. We've got our road wetness, which is kind of hard to see because it is transparent. But you've got your, let's see, there's a red one, I think. No, I don't think we can see it in here. I think we're kind of stuck with this one. But there is a red one. So if you really wanted to, you could change over to it so you can see a little better. Basically, you want to cut it off center. And if you really wanted to, you could kind of separate these up a little bit because they are kind of in line with each other. However you want to do it, whatever works best for you. I'll show you how I do it, and then you can do it the way you want to do it, right? All right, so let's go ahead and start with our first one here. Hit Tab to go into edit mode, and then we're going to scale. But hang on, let me think here. We kind of want this to be in line with it. So before I do that, let's go ahead and chop these up a little bit. Someone said to just use the subdivide. Let's see what we got for subdivide. Can we mess with subdivide that much? So if we right click it, I think I need to be in edit. Yep. Unsubdivide. Oh, here it is. Okay. So while in edit mode, right click on your object and then subdivide. And then straight cut path. Subdivide will kind of border it off. No, that's not what I want. We really just want to go this way. So let's not do that. So undo that. Let's go ahead and loop cut it. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but I'm going to loop cut it. Okay. Out of that. Next one, tab. Edit mode, loop cut, loop cut, loop cut. I think 4 is probably good for that. This one's probably fine. Loop cut, loop cut, loop cut. Loop cut, loop cut, loop cut. Okay. Oh, you can actually set the number of cuts too if you want to. So I guess you could click in the middle and then just play with that. I always forget about this little thing here. Anyway, but the reason why I'm chopping this up is because I don't want the texture to look smushed or stretched. I want it to look kind of natural to what the U texture is set up to be. See right now how tall these are and how tall these are not. That's what I'm fighting here. Okay. All right. So if we select all, let's do UV. Where's UV at? And then cube project. Cube project. Words are hard. Cube projection. That's not it. What did I use last time? How do let's project from view? Yeah, that'll work. And then we can move it to center because this is in the center here and we want this center thing here. We'll scale it up to fit that area. So we want the upper half. Looks pretty close there. And I'm just going to move it to the side a little bit. Now, with 22, you didn't want to go more than, I think, 6 or 8 of these widths of the original texture, or it would cause issues. So that's something to keep in mind. A lot of the giant stuff is pretty centered. So it's up to you, and you can adjust it how you want it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it centered. Why not? It's just a tutorial, but you can kind of play with it. Okay, go ahead and do the same for this one. Project from view. So hard. Oh, okay, let's try that again. Project from view. Okay, scale it up. We need to move it here, kind of center it on that line. Scale it up some more. And I think down just should be about right. Okay, and then we'll do the same for these sides. Select all, and then we'll project view. Scale it up. Mouse back. Taking a trip somewhere apparently. Right about there. Okay, this one. Uh, edit mode. Oh, view. Scale it up. There's one of the sides. Down. More. Touch. It. Perfect. We just have this one left, right? Yep. V. Check from view. I'm sure there's other ways to do this that might be easier. If you know of that way, feel free to share it in the comments. But actually been getting a lot of good feedback on some, a lot of good corrections too. Because I'm not perfect, but I try to figure things out the best I can, right? Okay, out of edit mode, and we should be set for that. Now, I want to go ahead and combine all these. So I'm gonna select them all. Make sure I'm in object mode, select them all. Then I'm gonna right click and join or control J to make it one object. Okay, so if I go in here, blah. So that's kind of what you see in some of the giants stacked up. If you really wanted to, you can move them up one or whatever, however you want it. But just make sure it's lined up with the part of the texture you use. Okay. See what else. Okay. Now we'll go back to object mode, and we need to do our vertex paint. Now I've seen some folks go in here and then add to the color attribute by hitting plus here and adding the color. Well, from what I've noticed, that doesn't go through the exporter for whatever reason. It may not be set up to use that. I'm not really sure. So don't do that because it, for whatever reason, it doesn't actually go through the exporter, the i3D exporter. Okay. So what you want to do is with this object selected, our plane, which we'll bump the microphone around a little bit. Sorry about that. Main road wetness tut cordial. to the top. Did I spell something? I probably did. I ain't too worried about it. Okay, so now we want to go to Vertex Paint. Okay, and we're going to change this to white. White? I think it was white. So set it all the way to white, and then oh, you want to make sure that your viewport shading here is selected. Why are we seeing that? Hang on. There we go. Okay. Now, if we change this to black, you can see it painting it in, right? So I'll change it back to white and make sure that it actually shows that. Okay. So once we are verified that everything is white, we can carry on. Go back to object mode and save it. File, export, i3D, and selected objects. Okay. We're going to do this road test 5. Export. Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Let's go back here and let's come on, brain. We want to put this on the spline. So let's open up the main road again and put the main road on spline. That. Okay. Okay, we've got that there. So let's click on our wetness and we'll add a modifier. This one's going to be array first, and then we'll add another one. It's going to be curve. And then want fixed count curve. We've got a 2 line here. Now we do want to add a little spacing. I mean, if you want to, you can keep those grouped up like that. Really up to you. I like to add a little bit of space. You don't want the road wet everywhere, right? Go right about there. Okay, and then we can just bump that number up until the whole thing's covered. So yeah, perfect. It, we'll leave it there. So yeah, that really gives us a decent amount of wet spots on our road. Okay, we'll save that, and then if you don't have the road already exported, you could highlight both of them and export it, or you can just do the. Okay, so we're gonna save that. We'll do our export. Where you at? Export I3D. Will be road test 05. Okay, now we want to up road test 05. Where are you at? Right click it, open with, and our text editor. Here we have it. As you can see, here's our vertex color. If we want to manually alter that here, we can. Once we save as a binary and it creates a shapes file, you won't be able to edit this material. So we need to scroll down and find the actual material data. Oh, you know what? I didn't set a material to it. Whoops. Try that again. Wetness. Click on our material. I sure didn't, did I? Row wetness material. Make sure that's set. Otherwise, that doesn't work. Oh. Okay. Color now. Okay. Save it. Select the wetness. File. Export. E05. And then reload it in here. Here we go. See how we got more stuff in our material? Now we're missing that one item, so we'll bump down underneath normal map. Don't edit anything in here. We just want to add this line, which we copy from the Giants way. Export from Giants. paste it, save it. Now when we go into our map, this is our map here. We'll do File, Port, and we want road test 05. Okay, there we go. Now if we do our wetness control here, set to 1 currently. Uh-oh, we missed something. Okay, so if we go to our height, we want to bump it up just a hair. So 0.001 should be fine. And there it is. I always forget that part. So basically it was the same level as the rest of the road. So it was hidden. Wow. Gotta love the little things, right? Okay. So everything I had was correct. The only issue is that I forgot to bump the water just a smidge above the asphalt or the road texture. Okay. So I guess one thing that's kind of important with the road um, when you're doing these is they do have to form to the terrain. So make sure that your you call it spline is aligned with the terrain as you make it. That way they don't float. Because I think I can raise it up. Yeah, see, I can raise it way up and it floats. So that's a kind of a unfortunate side effect. So 0.001. Wish they would have done it more as a decal shader, but you know, you work with what you got, right? Okay, so we can kind of play with it a little bit here. See how it kind of shrinks in, the water dries up. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you do the puddles. So pretty much just copy what Giants did, and if you export the actual wetness, if you select on the wetness in Riverbend or any of the other Giants maps, and then export that into its own file, you kind of poke through how they have it set up, and then you'll see the refraction map line. You copy that line into your um, doohickey, and voila. Make sure you bump it up a hair and that it matches the rest of the terrain. Because if it doesn't, then it might be floating or underground, right? So look like as we drive around. And I got my speed a little high, so it's a bump that down. Go fast. Yeah, you kind of play with it and make it natural. I mean, you can kind of see the repetitiveness, so you could, if you wanted to, do a couple variations, have them kind of split out, or whatever way you want to do it, or you could just manually put it down. It's really up to you. But yeah, for the water puddles, they do have to conform to the terrain, unlike your uh, your decal ones. Because if we click on it and we do terrain decal, well, it's still, I don't know, terrain decal might work. Still shows there. Let's see, does it size? Do terrain decal you? Oh, that's. So what if I raise it up a little bit? Let's turn decal on. Yeah, it doesn't affect it at all. Okay. So yeah, you'll want to for your puddles, um, conform them to the terrain. That way they don't float. Case. You just wanted a hair above the, because if you go too high, then it'll be a noticeable gap. Some of it. That's how you do your little wetness puddles. Maybe they'll improve that a little bit in the future, but for now, we can do it this way and make our maps look a little more detailed. I don't know. What other materials? Let me try that again. What other tutorials would you like to see? What else could I kind of poke into and figure out? A lot of folks have been asking for how to bring in like sell points and production points and such into the map. I do want to do some of those. I just want to get a little more of an understanding. I know how to do it. I just want more of an understanding with 25. I haven't really messed with it much yet. I am working on a map, um, but I'm also trying to learn more about what I can do with Blender, especially with roads. That was a big thing for me is not being able to do some really nice roads. Uh, Learning how to do these roads is a game changer for me. Um, and I do plan to do a tutorial on how to do intersections soon. I've got a little more learning to do there, but once I've got it to where I feel like it's something that you guys could make use of, then I'll create a tutorial on it. But till then, um, let me know in the comments what you want to see and what you think, and appreciate you hanging out with me as I kind of troubleshoot some of the things that I forget about or whatever as we go through these tutorials. And hey, appreciate you watching, appreciate the likes, appreciate the love, and happy mapping. Thanks for watching.